Greetings, dear ones. My name is Drax16, and thank you for clicking on this video. It seems a lot of people that have considered becoming a Christian have just thought, well, I don't really want to become a Christian because there's just too many rules. It's too rigid. The Bible is full of all sorts of laws that I can't keep. But in actuality, the obedience to God comes from love. Is it hard to love your best friend? Is it hard to love your wife or your husband? If it is, then you've got some pretty big problems. I've used that as an example to say, just think of the person who you love the most: wife, husband, children, grandparents, neighbors, whoever you love the most. Think about them. And I ask you, is it difficult to love that person? Probably not, because it comes very naturally. It comes from the heart. It's not hard for me to love my parents because of how good they are, and because God says to honor our fathers and mothers. So when someone says that there's too many commands, that's just a sign that they've never found God to be more beautiful than everything else. They've never found God's laws to penetrate their heart. Just as it's easy to love the person that you love the most, the same is also true of the Christian and his or her relationship with God. We say that we obey him because we love him. And the commandments of God are not burdensome at all. They are guidance for us, they are gifts for us. You see, we are called, I believe, to repair the world with righteousness by calling people to Christ. The world can be repaired. A lot of Christians, I think, are just waiting for the rapture, and they're in a constant state of wanting to be evacuated out of this place. But we have a job to do while we're on this earth. We still have to be beacons of light. We still have to try to, draw people to the gospel and Christ. So does God say that his laws are burdensome? I mean, obviously not, because when it comes from love, it becomes very natural. It becomes very natural. So, Christianity is a religion in the same way that a Lamborghini is a car. It's it is a belief system, absolutely, but it's more than just a religion because it's a relationship with the Almighty. And that and Jesus said, "Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do the things that I say?" So I'm not saying that we're justified by works. No, no, no. We are justified. We have been saved. Christians, we have been saved by faith alone, I believe. But, even if you believe that, you're saved by works and faith, that's not biblical, but at least you can still understand that we seek to live by God's commandments because we know how good they are. So when he says stuff like, you shall not murder, God's basically saying, I think you guys would be better off if you weren't killing each other all the time. When he says, you shall not steal, we know that that's a good law. Even those who aren't even Christians know that that's a good law, because God is basically saying through that commandment, look, I think that you guys would be better off if you weren't ripping each other off all the time. I mean, and I came across a few scriptures that highlight the fact that God's commands are not burdensome at all to the believer. I'm going to be looking downward, so I won't be looking at the camera, so I'm sorry. Psalm 19, and these scriptures are all from the Psalms, because this book of Psalms seems to mention God's commandments more than any other book that I've come across. And I've read the Bible from cover to cover multiple times, but the book of Psalms, Psalm 119 in particular, which I'm going to quote a bunch of times. In fact, after you finish watching this video, I encourage you to go read Psalm 119. It'll only take you an hour or 2 hours, but just read Psalm 119 and you'll see tons of areas where God's commandments are not burdensome. They come naturally from our hearts because we love God. The Christians, at least, love God. Let's just fly through these. Psalm 19, verses 8 through 10. The precepts of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The rules of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, even much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and drippings of the honeycomb. Or how about Psalm 119, verse 39? Turn away the reproach that I dread, for your rules are good. Psalm 119, verse 52. When I think of your rules from of old, I take comfort, O Lord. Or lastly, let's look at Psalm 119, verse number 75. I know, O Lord, that your rules are righteous. So Christianity is a Lamborghini is almost more than just a car because of how beautiful it is. So it is with Christianity. If all it was a bunch of empty rituals without guidance, then it wouldn't be much of a religion, would it? I mean, that's like, Shinto faith, the Japanese religion, Shintoism or Shinto, whatever it's called. They have lots of different stuff to say about deities, but they have no commandments to live by. You essentially get to make up your own rules. At least that I could be wrong about that, but that's just the impression I've gotten after I read a book about Shintoism a number of years ago, probably about 10 or 15 years ago. Anyways, so yeah, if if you want to if the devil has been attacking you and trying to convince you that you aren't a real believer, look at your life. Look at your life and see if there's any evidence. Because if you can just say a prayer and live the rest of your life in continuous carnality and unrepentant, that's a sign that you've never found God to be more beautiful than your sin. So, yeah, Jesus said, if you love, I think it's John 14, where he says, if you love me, you would keep my commandments. So our heart comes from love. In the same way that it's not hard to love our wife or our husband or our child, it's not hard to love God for the believer. We relish in God's commandments. We live by them. In the book of Psalms, it also says, I don't know, I forgot. Sorry, the devil might be attacking me or something. But anyways, so yeah, that's just been a video I've done about God's commandments. We know that they're good. Even the non-Christians know that you shall not steal or you shall not murder are good commandments to live by. Even, atheists will confess that there are some good things in the Bible to live by. Now, an atheist obviously is not going to say that everything in the Bible is good. Oftentimes they quote stuff out of context to try and prove that God is a monster. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, I thank you all for watching my videos. And if you are, a Christian or you consider yourself a Christian, look at your life and examine whether you are growing in holiness. One of the things we see when people are converted is what Paul talks about in, I think it's 2 Corinthians or something like that, where the old passes away, all things have become new. So are you keeping God's commandments? Are they burdensome to you? If you are burdened by laws and you think that you have to keep the whole law, that's totally not the gospel message at all. It's like we're carrying a heavy load of the law, and Christ lets us take off that backpack that's weighing us down. But that comes from the gospel. It comes from resigning ourselves. It comes from forgetting ourselves. It comes from renouncing all so that we can have Christ. It's like a parable in the synoptic gospels, where a man finds a jewel in a part of land and he sells all that he has in order that he can find that jewel because it's so valuable. So I ask you, have you found Christ to be altogether lovely? Have you found him to be more beautiful than everything? And the way you know is to look at evidence of a rebirth. Has your relationship with sin at some point, has it changed? I really don't understand why some people can say that they love God, but they live in habitual unrepentant sin. I really don't think that's possible for a Christian to do that. because the gospel is not a license to sin. Anyways, sorry, I started preaching. It's a habit. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video. Sorry for getting off topic there at the end, but thank you for watching. I hope that all of you have a beautiful day. God bless you.